I'm going to the sophomore year, and uh, I'd say I want to be a bio, like a medical bioengineer when I'm older.
That's great. And what is your problem statement?
My problem statement is the rise of greenwashing. Companies frequently make misleading or unsubstantiated claims about their environmental benefits of their products or practices. And there's been a massive gap between what companies say versus what they do regarding the environment.
Okay. And what project have you built? Yeah. Yeah. Continue with your presentation. Yes.
Mhm. In fact, 68% of global executives admit that their own companies are guilty of greenwashing, and corporate sustainability claims have surged by 400%, while greenhouse gas emissions have seen that same trend over the last 300 years. Solution: my environmental transparency dashboard. It's an intelligent ecosystem that utilizes three key data sets. One is hard emissions, which just looks at historical structured data sets of greenhouse gas emissions. The second is public sentiment, which uses Reddit to find what people think about greenwashing in companies. And then the final one is discrepancy scoring, which just flags high risk corporations that say that advertise themselves as eco-friendly, but might have higher gas emissions. Demonstration. Um, Here I have my landing page. So we first see you can customize the color, the accent color. You can customize this area. You can explore the features down here. It'll show you how much companies and countries are being tracked. These are all the features here. It works by collecting data, analyzing that data, and then finally showing that data. And if we launch the map or launch the app, you start off in an overview where you see different leaderboards for these companies based on top greenwashing risks. So you have companies like General Motors and Chevron, which might have higher greenhouse gas emissions because they're part of the auto industry. Then you have lower rated ESG because they're not really part of that area that deals with greenhouse gas emissions. And then over here, you have Reddit sentiment alerts, which goes over the same general companies as over here. On the right, you can see there's an AI chatbot that you can speak to about greenwashing or ESG ratings regarding this. You can search up here on any page via ticker, and it'll send you over here. For instance, if I were to look up Tesla, I get sent to basically just an overview of that company's like greenhouse or greenwashing risk, and then an ESG rating, and some other finance stuff like their profit margins, their revenue, and their market cap. I can go over to this interactive globe, which just show there's three different filters: greenhouse gas emissions per country, and China has the most. Then per capita, Qatar has the most. And then just based off the companies, you can see where every company is set in each country. You can also click on a country to get their greenhouse gas emission per capita, their total greenhouse gas emissions, and their GDP. Over here, I have a leaderboard. The x-axis is displaying the ESG score. And yeah, hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. And then okay, on the y-axis, I have the profit margins of every company. And so higher rated companies like IBM, you see they're rated green, of course. They're in low GRI risk. And some maybe laggards are like BHP and Chevron, right? Over here, you can see a greenwashing scanner. And this will just display every company that has been given a medium greenwashing rating or even a low greenwashing rating. And then you can go over to portfolio and you can add the companies that you have stakes or shares in, like Microsoft. But yeah, I can add that here. It'll show up here and it'll give me an average of those companies, like the ESG rating of it or the greenwashing risk of it. And then it'll show up here. Like I'm mostly in the green, so I have a low GRI risk and my ESG is pretty high. And then you can go back. You can also go back to the landing page, and that's pretty much it. So,
Okay, so first of all, the UI looks really impressive, and the most interesting part of your project was the GRI, Greenwashing Risk Index. So I just have one question related to it, which is that what factors are considered while calculating the GRI of a specific company?
what factors are considered?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can just answer that by going over here. Things like the Reddit signal, which just gathers the past 24 months of Reddit posts and it analyzes negative sentiment about these companies. There's also the emissions accuracy score, which just tracks a company's greenhouse gas emissions, and then the regulatory exposure proxy, which is just the opposite of a company's official ESG total score. And so a low ESG score indicates a higher regulatory risk, which increases this value. So basically, it's just the lower ESG score a company has, public sentiment about that company, and also the greenhouse gases emitted by that company.
Actually, it's really smart that you use your own feature to explain the answer. That's really impressive.